good? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Welcome to the City Council meeting of the City of Fairburn. I now bring the meeting to order. At this time, I'll ask for the city clerk to call the roll.
The Honorable Mayor Pro Tem James Whitmore.
Present.
The Honorable Linda J. Davis.
Present.
The Honorable Alex Heath.
Present.
The Honorable Samantha Hudson.
Present.
The Honorable Hattie Portis Jones.
Present.
And the Honorable Ulysses J. Smallwood.
Absent. Okay. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I'll ask Pastor Frazier Love, would you please come up? Everyone can, please stand.
Amen, amen. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, God, we thank you, Lord, for this opportunity, Lord Jesus. And God, we thank you for this great city. Lord, continue to bless this city. Continue to bless every department, God, and even the city council on tonight, God. Lord, give them wisdom and discernment, God, to make the right choices for this great city. Lord, we thank you for blessing the police department. We thank you, God, for blessing the fire department and even dealing with the sewage and the water department. God, we just thank you, God, for all that you're going to do, God. Lord, continue to bless our great mayor, God. Bless his family, God. Bless every family in this great city. And Lord, we love you, we honor you, and we give you the glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Ray, I have any public speakers?
No, yes, sir. We have one,
Okay,
Alexa Gurley.
okay. Hold on one second, ma'am. Are you here to speak? Well, actually, don't worry about that.
Yep.
I'll just go straight to the, we're not to that part yet. Give me one second. I was just double checking. Okay, Pledge of Allegiance presentation. Members of council, you have before you a printed agenda. Can I entertain a motion to adopt the city agenda?
So move. Second.
Motion is made by Mayor Pro Tem, second by Mr. Heath. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Okay, the next item in this case will be a public comment. 30 minutes shall be available for public comment. Each speaker shall be limited to 3 minutes. However, a speaker may transfer his or her 3 minutes to another speaker, but no speaker shall be permitted to speak for more than 6 minutes. Further, in the event, if more than 10 speakers, which we have one, each, in this case, we're now down to one. Your responses will be provided at a later date with one speaker. Go ahead and call our first speaker.
Yes, Miss Alexa Gurley.
Ms. Gurley, come on up.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, everyone tonight.
Okay.
I'm here to, my name's Alexa Gurley. I live at 160 Bay Street, which is about 3 blocks from Landmark Christian School, going towards Union City. I've been a resident here and taxpayer for 15 years. I'm committed, I'm invested. We've had a lot of great people move into the neighborhood, fixing up their properties. I'm here to request some speed tables and more traffic enforcement on Bay Street between at least South Avenue and Fayetteville Road, if not even further. It's purely residential, but we get thousands of cars a day, thousands. About 10 years ago, when Troy Basesh sat on this city council, he did a traffic study on a Friday afternoon, and we had 2,300 cars on a Friday afternoon. So I'm sure that number has tripled, if not quadrupled. The speeding school buses, the commercial vehicles from Heidelberg Concrete, from Southside Wrecker, from US Foods, they are on the street at all given hours of the day and night. The speeders, the super speeders, they set off my alarm on my camera on my front porch. There's about 7 homes within 50 feet of the street. We all have blind driveways. We don't, and I know that Fairburn PD is a little understaffed, but we don't get any enforcement. I had to yield to 2 tractor trailers 2 days ago to get out of my driveway. And then I turn the corner and I see Fairburn PD sitting in the church parking lot. No citations, no violations. It's an impediment to the quality of our lives. So I'm asking if at least to do another traffic study. I mean, Lightning District has these speed tables. We have nothing. And it's the artery that serves from Highway 138 to get over to anywhere in Fairburn besides Highway 29. We're like a little Highway 29. So, I guess that's all I have. I just would request that the city look into this matter and then maybe get back to me. I was hoping that some other residents that said that they were going to be here tonight to help, you know, maybe get this in motion would be great. I met with Chief Bazidlo earlier last week, and he was even looking at the possibility of blocking off Bay Street once the commercial, on Jonesboro Road, once that commercial area stops and it's just all residential. So
Okay.
that's all I've got.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And you'll get a response from the city administrator.
Pardon?
You'll get a response from the city administrator. Thank you so much. Members of council, at this time, can I entertain a motion to to approve the minutes for the city council meeting that commenced, special call meeting that commenced on April the 30th, 2024? Is there a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made and properly second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I abstain
Okay,
to my absence.
okay.
Meeting.
Members of council, I'd like to entertain a motion for the city council meeting that commenced on May the 13th. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Motion is made and properly second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Abstain.
That motion carries. At this time, we'll go ahead, Ms. Ray.
The public hearing, racetrack use permit, the recommendation is for mayor and council to approve the ordinance granting the use permit allowing the operation of a truck stop with the following conditions. No overnight parking of trucks, tractor trailers, or vehicles shall be permitted except for employees actively working at the truck stop. The development must adhere to the supplemental regulations on truck terminals, truck stops per the zoning ordinance, Chapter 80, zoning, Article 4, administrative permits and use permits, Section 80-239, truck terminals and truck stops. The traffic study must be completed prior to the review and submittal of the concept plan. Planning and zoning.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
This item was continued from the previous meeting. Since that time, the applicant has provided some additional information pertaining to some of the questions that were asked. A transportation study was submitted to staff. We have completed an initial review of it. There is a team of engineers, including traffic engineers, that did not have sufficient time to review the entirety of the report, but we did receive it. We are recommending approval because of the request aligning with our comprehensive plan. Are there any questions for staff? The applicant is here and available to ask questions regarding any documentation that was submitted to the council.
Let me do this. Let me officially close the public hearing. Members of council, because this is a continued public hearing, I have to entertain. There won't be any for or against speaking tonight. But in this case, I'd like to entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made and properly seconded by Ms. Hudson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. At this point, I'll entertain any questions from members of council. I'll go and start with your Mayor Pro Tem. Anyone on my left?
I also,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah, actually, you had a question. I'll start with you and then come to Mayor Pro Tem, and then come to Ms. Hudson.
and then I'll
Go ahead.
be last.
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. I just would like for you to just state, in the documents, it says that this particular project is in the Highway 74 Overlay District. For the record, could you just repeat what's the district? What are the requirements of that district? And the fact that this is on the, I guess, western end of Highway 74 versus the eastern end, which a lot of people thought that that was the overlay district, that it didn't come as far west as it does. So could you just, for our edification and education, just restate what that is? What are those requirements? And then why are you recommending approval given the overlay district requirements?
No problem. The Highway 74 overlay district does have some uses that are strictly prohibited. And there are some supplemental regulations, for instance, the distance requirement previously for drive-through restaurants. Now that has dining options that are required of that department. There's also architectural design standards relating to having a brick front. The applicant, because of the use, the elevation, does comply with all of the regulations for the Highway 74 overlay district. Because that use is not strictly prohibited, it's not listed in the prohibited uses. Because that request does comply with the Highway 74 overlay district, the design guidelines, and the comprehensive plan, staff is recommending approval along with the heavy industrial zoning designation.
Okay, and then how far west does the overlay district go?
I think it extends all the way down 74 past Howell Avenue Extension. I believe, I wish I had a map that I could show you, but it does extend out pretty far.
Okay, so would that be the ramp off of Verlin B. Smith, Fairburn Industrial, going up to Highway 29?
Close to, yes.
Yeah, okay, close to. So to the east or west of that ramp?
I would probably say to the west, because there's two overlay districts. There's the downtown overlay district for the historic area, but then there's also the 74 overlay district, which includes this property, but also goes as far as the restaurants and multifamily developments that are a little bit further away.
Further away on Verlin B. Smith?
No.
Fairburn Industrial really is the proper street name. Okay, so what residential are you referencing?
So if you go up 74 towards Meadow Glen, all of those properties that touch the 74 highway are all a part of the overlay district. And
Okay,
those-
but that's the eastern end?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, okay. All right, thank you so much.
Oh, no problem at all.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Last meeting, I did ask a question, and I was just told just prior to the meeting that something was sent to the clerk for all of us to review, but I have not received that, or I don't recall seeing that. And I was hoping that the applicant would answer that question in reference to, we asked about spillage, and you have safety backups and everything, but yet and still, it would be off-site. And then I think the follow-up question would be whether or not, once that, if there is a spillage into the creek, whether or not the personnel would be trained to take whatever actions if your mechanism fails locally as well.
Good evening. My name is Harold Buckley, 2849 Paces Ferry Road in Atlanta. I'm an attorney for Racetrack. Yes, Councilmember Whitmore, we did compile information in response to your question, and we submitted a summary to the staff of our compliance and spill prevention program. But John Preedy from Racetrack is here to speak specifically to your question, and I will provide everybody with copies of this document that's already in the application file.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Is the gentleman able to just kind of summarize what we're looking at now? That's what he's doing. Okay, sir, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is John Preedy.
Yes, sir.
I work at Racetrack in the real estate department, 200 Galleria Parkway, Suite 900 in Atlanta. Joining me is Samantha Jones. She's with our engineering group. And we're here to ask or answer any questions you may have regarding your last questions, Commissioner. But if I can, let me summarize briefly what Racetrack provides for environmental. And what you were given is a very brief summary from our engineering. We have an environmental engineering group that works at Racetrack. It's a full-time position at our office, our corporate office. We have a fairly large staff that does nothing but keep us in compliance throughout our service network. But in brief, our stores are provided with the latest technology of equipment that can be purchased in the market. What you don't see underground once the store is complete are within our underground tanks is double-walled construction of fiberglass tank facility. Connecting those tanks to the store are lines and sensors along those lines that are underground, and if there is any leak that is detected by these sensors, the system is shut down completely. Prior to installation of these tanks, we test the ground very thoroughly to make sure there's no previous spill that was there upon our purchasing of the property. Also, we have very, very strict prevention measures that our staff undertake on a daily basis. Our store staff is very, very well trained. We have a compliance officer at the store located at all times. Is an employee of Racetrack. They are certified. They go through a rigorous training program and are certified in this effort. And the whole system and what we're talking about is regulated by DEP, state agency. And if you want to talk a little bit toward that end.
Yeah, the only thing I'll add, I mean, certainly human error happens, and that's by far the largest cause of spill is someone at the pump who overfills. So any spill over 25 gallons is required to be reported to EPD, and we have processes in place through third-party vendors that are on call 24 hours to immediately clean up that spill on pavement. And in addition, we have our oil water separator installed at 1,000-gallon capacity, where fuel would drain and be captured and then would be pumped out by a third-party company before it reaches any public stormwater system.
Let me also add, kind of going backwards a little bit, when we design a store and design all this apparatus underground, that's sent to the state fire marshal for approval. Every one of these are designed and approved, should say reviewed and approved by the state fire marshal under very strict regulations. As Samantha mentioned, human error causes most spills, and there are instances where somebody may be filling their tank and they drive off with the hose. Believe it or not, that happens more frequently than you may think, but it does happen occasionally. And overspills, and all of these things our lots are designed so any spill that occurs like that is captured in this oil water separator and dealt with accordingly before it can go into any off-site drainage system.
One thing just to add also, our sites are designed so that water does not flow underneath the canopy. So also obviously as that being your highest fuel use area, it's designed such that it's not going to mix with rainwater right there as well.
One of the prevention measures that we take very seriously, if you go into our stores, you may notice around our cash wrap by our register, there's a big red button. That button shuts down the facility, so if there is a spill and it's detected by one of our employees, they can immediately shut off the entire system so there's no flow of fuel to any of the dispensers and through the system with that shut-off valve. And they're trained to immediately call our office, then we extend a phone call to the government agencies and our contractors that actually go to the site and help to mitigate if mitigation is necessary.
And as a follow-up, and there is no local override once that emergency button is hit and everything shuts down. There's no automatic override until you have the appropriate personnel coming in and evaluating everything. Is that correct?
Correct, and it would even shut off to anyone who's actively fueling at that time. So it is the full entire system.
Well, I appreciate that, but I think my initial question, the last council meeting, was in reference to leakage. Let's say that it somehow gets bypassed your containment, underground containment. But I heard you say you have sensors and a fiberglass double wall embankment or tank or whatever. But I heard you say all that, but still, the other precaution, well, the other question was, And I think I used maybe a 5-year parameter. How many failures have you had? And they couldn't answer that at the time, so that was one of the questions I was looking forward to hearing answered.
And I don't know the answer to that. We have over 825 stores. It would take weeks to develop that type of data intake. So I don't have the answer to that, but I can say that tank spillage, especially underground spillage, is, I don't want to say it's impossible, but with new product in our new stores with this double wall construction, it just doesn't happen. Now, again, human error can cause an occasional spill, but something like that is extremely rare.
You finished, sir? Ms. Hudson?
I want to first take the time to thank Racetrack for giving me a crash course of this. I had the opportunity to sit down with them and get a lot of information about this project, the time that they spent here with our city, how they were engaged by our staff. So I did a full analysis of all of that I can find out about Racetrack and sat down and met with them. I want to first caution that our processes on the front door can improve. I want to highlight that our planning and zoning members did an excellent job working with this applicant to get them to where they are today. When I talk about the front door, I'm talking about some of the gaps that I saw in terms of the classification of a truck stop, the language, delays back and forth. But I am exceptionally focused on how this particular project is going to enhance Fairburn. And one of the things that I was looked at that I saw, one, corporate social responsibility is huge, especially when it comes to this type of project coming into our community. At our last council meeting, there was some questions that were raised. All questions are good questions, but I had some concerns to the motive behind that. So not for you, Mr. Buckley, but for my colleagues. Mr. Buckley raised a concern. I'm going to pass this down. Each one can take a copy if you want to. We have to be very careful what we say when we're present at these meetings and our behavior. This question is not for you. This is for Ms. Brookins. I want to know what type of training do our commissioners receive on planning and zoning?
Our planning and zoning commissioners do have a line item for training. Previously, there was some internal training. They have been given the opportunity to go to the Georgia Planning Association's conference, and there are also resources for the UGA training for planning and zoning commissioners.
To date, has every member that sit on the planning commission been through that training?
To the best of my knowledge, I don't believe every member has completed the training.
Okay, thank you. So I want, this is not a secret, there was a complaint filed by the applicant by a member, would raise concern of a member of our planning commission having an interest that was not in the best interest of ethics. This right here, this information, this objection that the applicant filed does not weigh on my vote at all, one way or another. But my biggest concern is that what informs a yes or no vote? We all have a right to vote anyway, right? But we have to be informed that our vote is based off of Fairburn's planning and zoning policy, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. And we have to make sure that if we are raising issue in open meetings, that we are focused on the policy that guides those decisions. Today, I am not concerned about this project. I think some of my colleagues that did a very thorough job with their questioning You guys did a very thorough job. I'm a newbie, so I was able to get a lot of information. I purposely did not communicate with the applicant beforehand because I wanted to learn the process. And learning the process and where they went, the small things, well, some things on the front end, which can go, I could talk about later, because I don't want this to sound like I'm pointing, right? But the objection that was filed was in direct relationship to a member that sits on the planning commission that is over a leader of the POA for Durham Lakes. This behavior is indicative of litigation that we've already seen before. So we have to be careful. I provided this to my colleagues so that they are aware. When the ethical complaint is filed, it is very important that we deal with this in-house as best as possible. It's also important that we install our Board of Ethics so this right here doesn't get outside of the Fairburn walls. It can stay right here and be dealt with us. And so I don't have a whole lot to say about racetrack, but what I will say is kudos to the planning and zoning attorney. Thank you for educating me on asking my questions, getting the information that I needed. I want to say thank you to Mr. Starkey because, you know, we don't agree on a lot, but we did agree about this particular project being something that we need to be very cautious on making sure that we do the right thing here. So as it relates to racetrack, what I want to highlight in their corporate social responsibility and what I was able to connect. Racetrack, corporate social responsibility and input in schools, one of the things that I have to magnify here in Fairburn is highly important. And understanding that 60% of this revenue goes to the schools is extremely important. More so, we have a global impact, a STEM school. So I would like to see not just the racetrack entity itself, but there's 4 other different entities that we can connect our community to, education-wise, resources, as well as employment. And that's really all that I have to say, but to my peers, I want us to be cognizant of what's happening at the front door, making sure that all commissioners have the appropriate training, and that we address immediately any behavior that will be indicative that's unethical and that will lead us into litigation. That's my concern. That's it.
Thank you. Ms. Davis?
Yes, Ms. Brookins. I am, my focus really right now on this project is the concerns that our citizens have in reference to traffic. And I understand that traffic does not stop a development, but as an elected official voted in by the citizens of this great city, I have a responsibility to listen to their concerns and to try to address those concerns. And I would like to ask you, Ms. Brookins, in reference to Howell Avenue and the extension, either you or Mr. Thompson can share some insights on how that area there and the extension of that area may mitigate some of the traffic concerns that our citizens have with this proposed development.
No.
Yes.
I do believe Mr. Thompson is here. He was the project manager for the Howell Avenue extension.
Okay. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Name.
We constructed Howell Avenue extension about 3 years ago, and it was constructed to kind of mitigate congestion at State Route 74 and Oakland Industrial Boulevard. So this road was constructed with a significant investment with the help of the South Fulton CID, and Jody's here, constructed to provide an alternate route for trucks. So staff is kind of really in support of the project to encourage trucks to use that alternate route as an access to 74. So that was kind of staff's position on that,
Okay.
the traffic.
So do you think that we need to educate either our citizens or any way that we can, in reference to the truck drivers and everything, to maybe use that in a way to lessen the congestion that our citizens are thinking that may happen on near the development?
The development, State Route 74, that's a full access intersection, so it's already built to accommodate truck traffic. We're taking away from the traffic pinch that's out there, right there at Oakley Industrial and State Route 74, so this is really a preferred alternate route. So we really want to encourage truckers to use that route, fill up there and then jump on the highway right there on 74, right there at Howell Avenue Extension.
Okay, okay, all right. Now I have a comment, Mayor, Attorney Buckley. Can you? What I want to say, and this is coming from my heart. So, I appreciate the passion that you have in reference to representing Racetrack and wanting to make sure that this development goes through. I can appreciate that. What I feel from your various correspondence, that you do not appreciate the fact that my client are my citizens here in the city of Fairburn. And I am going to do what I have to do as a representative to listen to their concerns and see any way that I can mitigate their concerns. Now, I understand that the comp plan and everything else is in the favor of this development. I also understand that you all have complied with the conditions, and I appreciate that. But I ask that you do not make accusations as it relates to our staff, as it relates to the processes that we go through, because that's a problem for me as an elected official. And I think that we can do things on a higher level with more respect for each other to get to the end result. Thank you, Mr. Buckley.
Thank you, and I apologize for any offense.
I have a follow-up question.
Go ahead, Mr. Whitmore, then I'll come to Mr. Go ahead, Mr. Whitmore.
Yeah, just as a follow-up, because I was listening to the Howell Extension project from a couple of years ago, and during the last council meeting, we even talked about the expansion of the roadway on 74. And if my recollection is correct, your client was going to reach out to GDOT to even talk about expansion there on 74, because we do know that it's going to increase traffic coming from the gas station and going 74, going to 285. With the other project that has nothing to do with this project, I'm talking about the bridge project, the 85 project that's going to be starting underway soon, I hope. But with that expansion of the bridge and also expansion of 74 going south, going towards Peachtree City. East. Okay, so that's going to be, I believe, Mr. Thompson, 4 lanes down to 3, then back to 2, or 4 on each side. And my request was, I think if all the parties working in conjunction with each other, meaning your client, the City of Fairburn, CID, GDOT, we should be able to get some movement on that as well. And I just wanted to make sure we didn't lose focus on that part.
And Councilmember Whitmore, we didn't. We did reach out to the DOT to talk about their plans for that roadway and whether there were any improvements coming. And they made us very aware that that was not on their list of priorities. They did not have any plans to do that. We did do the updated traffic study, and we submitted it in the record. And we did that. We put the traffic study in the record because we're in a bit of a difficult position. If this body were to deny our application and we were to file an appeal, we would not be allowed to put any new information before the court that wasn't presented to you, and we wouldn't be able to make any arguments before the court that we had not made to you. So unfortunately, what that forced us to do is to make many of the arguments that we would have made to a judge before tonight. So we didn't mean any offense by that. I just had a professional obligation to get that in the record before the vote. So I apologize for any offense that resulted from that, but I really had to do it, otherwise it would have been professional malpractice on my part.
I wasn't talking about that part, but.
We did. Well, I thought I covered your question in the beginning when we did reach out to DOT and we did find out their priorities. And our traffic engineer might be able to speak to your question more directly if you would like to hear from him.
Absolutely.
Good evening. My name is Abdul. I'm mayor with A&R Engineering, Traffic Engineering, 2160 Kingston Court in Marietta. Answer your question, sir. We, in the updated study that was done, we did some specific traffic counts. And I've been out there myself in the peak hours, took videos, took pictures. That intersection of Howell Avenue and Fairburn Industrial Boulevard by itself is not causing congestion. And the four-lane nature of the freeway-type road between Howell Avenue all the way up to the interchange allows traffic to freely flow through on that section of road. The real problem on a significant part of the highway caused is because of the interchange. I know it's kind of hard to imagine because of what we experienced today back from the congestion from the interchange. But believe me, once that significant interchange improvement project is done, we are going to see that this section of freeway is going to be just fine. It has adequate capacity with 4 free flow type of lanes to carry the traffic it carries. Right now, I counted 600 cars in 1 hour going in each direction, which is nothing for 4 lanes. Per lane, 300 cars per lane, 600 in each direction, which is way too little for what a 4-lane road can carry. DOT will tell you that. So even if we combine, city, us, jointly go ask DOT, make this road 6-lane, they will say wait in line for 20 years. I'm not trying to belittle anything, but I'm just saying this is how their standard is of roadway capacity. We have plenty of capacity on Fairburn Industrial Boulevard at this location. This intersection, as your own staff member who was involved in the project for Howell Avenue extension, said it very rightfully that this intersection is set up with all kinds of turn lanes and capacity. This in itself is not a problem at all. Addition of traffic from racetrack is not going to make any dent in that. It's going to function just fine. I think the real problem is the interchange. We need to all push as hard as we can to make that happen soon. 95% of our problems in this area will be solved.
Mm-hmm. My follow-up to you is this. I see you indicated 600 cars was counted in that period of time, but I noticed you intentionally did not mention any of the trucks. And I will say to you, my experience by driving down there, I see the traffic backed up on both sides with trucks, all the way back past the Texaco station. And with the new e-commerce center that's being built with additional trucks, it will increase. And I want to state for the record, it will increase, and I know it will. I know you did your study, but I also noticed that you didn't mention any trucks whatsoever. And I know that throughout the day, there's a lot of heavy traffic with the trucks.
I agree with everything you said. I mean, there are trucks in there and traffic will increase. So you are right. I think even with that increase, it will function adequately is what I meant to say. I didn't mean to deliberately exclude that there are no trucks. We all know there's industrial facilities here and So trucks are there, you're absolutely right, and there will be some increase. Every year we experience increase in traffic, that is just growth. So there will be increase, I'm not denying that either. You're right.
Thank you.
Ms. Jones?
Mr. Thompson, I want to follow up on the question regarding the traffic and the interchange specifically. I noticed that the service station that was on the south side of 74, right at the interchange, has been leveled.
Shell station.
Well, no, the one that's on the west side of 74.
Oh,
The one that was closed for a long period of time.
that was displacement. That was one of the displacements. So that and the Shell station are displacements.
Okay.
They went on to
So,
clear
but,
that to accommodate the widening.
okay. And the fact that there's movement on that, though, I was surprised and elated, quite frankly, because that has sat for a very long time, and it was closed for a very long time. And I guess part of the problem was, acquisition of the right-of-way by Georgia DOT. But that being said, my question to you is, now that that has been leveled, what's the next step? What are you hearing from DOT about the next steps, and what movements will start occurring relative to reconfiguring the interchange? And also, I don't know if this is premature, if you can also give us some sense of what life will be like when they began that construction on that interchange. We're dealing with traffic today.
Yes.
But once there is limited or no access, life will be completely turned upside down. So can you just weigh in on that and give us some sense of where that is and what things we might need to do to prepare for that? Because that is an industrial roadway. Although, and I use it all the time, and I complain all the time about the amount of time that it takes me to get to the expressway. But, it's an industrial thoroughfare, and so I understand that. But give us some sense of what's happening now that that has been leveled, and what life will be like when they began that construction.
Yes, so to answer your first question, so GDOT has acquired 57 out of 59 parcels. We only have 2 parcels left to acquire.
Where are they?
One is the Family Dollar, and the other one is the Wendy's. And that's been mitigated. They was having some litigation issues, but they've been remedied as of late. One was a signage issue at Wendy's, and Family Dollar was just a price point.
Okay, Family Dollar on the eastern end of 74?
Easton, I guess.
Okay, where's the Family Dollar?
Family Dollar on 74.
At Milam Road?
Yes.
Okay. All right, continue.
So once they finish acquiring those 2, then they can certify the right-of-way. And then from that point, they can certify utilities, environmental certification, and then they can finalize the plans. The project is set to go out to bid in August of this year. So that's the let date, that's the management let date. So if everything works out right, it's going to go out to bid in August of this year, mid-August.
And what will that RFP request? Go out to bid to do what?
For construction of the project.
To begin the construction of the project, okay.
Yes, ma'am. So it's going to be a GDOT-led project, so we're talking probably first quarter of next year before they make the award and start with construction. When construction does start, it's going to take 2 years to construct.
Okay, and do we have, or have we had conversations with DOT about how we've got to change our behavior? What closures will there be? What direction will traffic, flow? Do we have some sense of that? Because if you're going to let the contract this August and begin construction, early next year.
March.
We probably need to start having those conversations now with the residents.
The conversation is going to be had, but the roads are not going to be closed. Traffic is going to be maintained.
Okay.
At all times. They're not going to shut down the highway shut down State Route 74 going in either direction. So flow is going to be maintained. It's going to be slower, but it's going to be maintained.
Okay. And do you have some sense of what they're going to do exactly? Is that premature?
Yeah, they got to put together the full traffic control plan in conjunction with the contract they're going to award it to. So that's kind of at the commissioner's desk there. But once we get that information, we'll definitely share it with mayor and council.
Okay. I brought that up in the context of the conversation we are having tonight regarding racetrack and the trucking that's going to occur and the already existing trucking that we have and the huge impact on all of us when that construction begins. And I applaud you, Councilwoman Davis, for bringing that issue up, as well as Mayor Pro Tem Whitmore. I do think we need to get some sense of what DOT is planning to do so that we can start educating our residents. Let us hear it a gazillion times so that we will be ready. Some of us still won't be ready, but the vast majority of us will, because we will have heard it over and over again. So I'm asking if staff can start having those conversations, get some sense of what they're going to do, and find out what we can start communicating to our residents.
So, Councilwoman Portis-Jones, just additional information to that particular point. I believe it was in March, the South Fulton CID and Jody Gray helped to organize or kind of reconstitute what we previously called the Highway 74 Coalition, made up of several jurisdictions along Highway 74, Tyrone, Peachtree City, Fayette County was there, we were there. I think we didn't have anybody from South Fulton, but we had several local jurisdictions, and the crux of that conversation was around the exact point that you're making, to begin understanding what the impact of this project, which will be significant, it will be difficult during that time, and it's about a 2-year, Mr. Thompson, construction period. Yes. Simultaneously, they will also be doing the interchange at 74 and 54 in Peachtree City. And so that's going to reroute traffic. And so the point of our discussion was to work as a coalition to begin getting information from GDOT, to your point, and secondly, to start public education around alternative routes, alternative solutions, so that citizens can not only know what is going on, what impact it will be, but some recommendations on ways you may be able to find productive alternative routes. We're hoping it will enliven the park and ride, which has not gotten the use any of us would have hoped. And so we had some discussions around how the park and ride maybe can become more prominent and encouraging people to use that option. There is a direct route, I believe, from the park and ride to the train station on MARTA. So we're looking at all of those solutions. So that conversation started in March. We're waiting for more details from GDOT because we do need to know the answers to the questions you're asking, but we're very much front of mind with that, and we want to get in front of it, to your point, and make sure that residents in all of our surrounding impacted cities understand what's coming, what the impact will be. And you're exactly right, it's going to be inconvenient. There's no way to redo that without some inconvenience, and it's going to be about 2 years. But the goal, of course, is when it's completed, life gets better for everybody, and the traffic flows a lot better. That's why I think this is a $90 million project.
$90 million investment.
And so that's why GDOT is making nearly a $100 million investment to create what at the end of all of that funding should be a better solution. It will be a bit of a headache to get there. But we are going to try to get in front of it with our public messaging, along with some of our partner cities, and of course the South Fulton CID, and you'll hear from Jody on another issue a little bit later. So we are having that conversation.
Well, I appreciate that, and thank you for enlightening us regarding that. Again, the more times we hear it, the better off we're going to be. So from this point on, I'm asking just keep us updated so the residents know what's happening, so they won't be able to say, they hadn't heard that. At least we've provided the information for them. So thank you. I appreciate that.
It's actually a $122,000 investment.
Million
Million dollar
and
investment.
climbing.
91 million for construction and 31 million for right-of-way acquisition.
Yes, yes.
Mr. Heath, and then I've got some questions after you. Go ahead.
Okay. I know I've talked to you quite a bit about this, but are they still going to replace the bridge? I think you told me one time before that
It's
they
a
were
bridge-
going to
it's a
raise
bridge
the height
replacement.
on the current bridge.
So instead of 2 bridges, it's going to be 1 solid bridge,
Oh, okay.
raised from 16.7 to 17 feet high.
Okay, great. Well, that was the only question I had.
Sir.
And I've got a couple of questions, but Ms. Gray, did you want to come and add anything? This is the lady from the CID, so that we're people that the lady that Tony just got through talking about the group, and so I didn't. As you're in the house, I just figured.
The plans are on the South Fulton CID website too, if you ever want to look at the design plans for the interchange. But yeah, we're definitely going to have a full marketing strategy that we'll be doing in conjunction with all the cities, and really leaning heavy on the park and ride lot as a alternative route or alternative means. So, yeah. We also are, just to continue on the solutions for State Route 74, we're also working with GDOT right now on improving what I call the interchanges, but the connection from State Route 74 to McLaren Road and State Route 74 to US 29, making that a safer alternative for our trucks too. So we really can message all these alternative routes. You can go down Howell, you can go down US 29. And I know nothing about, I don't know anything about the truck lot, but I do know that it seems like it would be a good location for everything that we're trying to do. And we all have issues with trucks parking in the community, so having a place for them to go, I think, I have not looked at any of the design plans, and I would never presume to get involved in zoning, but I could imagine that this would be something that would be helpful.
No truck parking. They only gassing and going.
Thank you, Jody. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Ms. Ross, I've got a question, if you don't mind. Ms. kind of collaborated with what Ms. Davis was saying and kind of summarized the back end of it, what Ms. Hudson brought up too. Could you speak to the concern as it relates to the concern Ms. Davis brought up as it relates to the ethics issue? Could you gave us a memorandum. Go ahead.
Yes, we did respond. And we did not look at it as an actual complaint, because that is required in the ethics process. And we also said that, we just didn't feel there was any evidence to support the allegations that they made in that letter.
Okay, got a question for the vendor. My question, you got a compliance officer. Sir, I'm sorry, you. Yes, sir. You indicated that, I'm sorry, Mr. Buckler, I'm sorry. You got a question as relates to, you indicated in the memorandum you gave us that as a third party that's going to be, can I get the name of that third party that's going to be, that's in, I guess, the second paragraph? Talks about.
Compliance and spill.
Compliance. Can I ask the name of the company that's going to do that?
I'm going to have John Preedy come back up and speak to that.
Okay.
Sure. So you're talking about the environmental compliance, is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's a bit.
So in different areas of our coverage area, we may have multiple compliance. We want to have the compliance service provided with a local vendor so that we have the quickest response. So please understand that it may be different vendors throughout our network, from anywhere from Virginia down to Florida over to Texas.
So the vendors are not local?
No, it's just the reverse what I'm saying. The vendors would be local.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So there's a couple of names. Cura is one company that we use. That's an emergency services company that we use to come in compliance if there is a problem on a property.
Okay. And as it relates to, I'm in the compliance industry myself from a different type of compliance. My question would be, from the certifications, is there what type of certification, the type of compliance officer that would, or compliance person that would actually be on staff?
So so we have a staff, we're responsible for having a staff member that's a racetrack employee that works in the store
Okay.
go through a rigorous training program, and then they have to, there's one person per store that has to be certified to this effort.
Okay. And so, is there a minimum number of years that you guys, for you to hire a compliance person? Is that a number of years of experience, 5, or anything like that, or that doesn't make a difference?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
Samantha, do you have any idea? Could you repeat the question again?
Yeah, I'm in the compliance industry as well, and normally when someone is hiring a compliance, whether it be procurement compliance, whether it be financial, in this case, environmental, normally they'll ask the person to have, 5 or whatever number of years of experience. So I'm trying to get an idea of the staff that you're gonna have, the level of experience of the person that's on.
I don't. The only thing I can add to what John said is that there's also an EPA training that
Okay.
that they take in addition to an internal training with our processes.
Okay, gotcha. That was my, any other questions by council? At this point, does any council wish to make a motion on this item?
So moved.
Second.
The motion is made to.
The motion is made to accept the applicant's application and staff's recommendation with all of the conditions.
And the motion's been made and second by Ms. Hudson. Did I hear that right?
Second.
I was looking to my right, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions by council? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Next item.
The next item is our regular agenda items. Number 3, South Fulton Community Improvement District CID expansion. The recommendation is for mayor and council to approve a resolution consenting to the expansion of the boundaries of the South Fulton Community Improvement District. City Administrator.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. Before I ask Ms. Jody Gray to come back up and do a brief presentation, this item is just they're seeking to expand the South Fulton CID, and all 4 cities must consent to the expansion of the boundaries to include the city of Fairburn, Palmetto, South Fulton, and Union City. And so, Ms. Jody Gray, if you want to do your presentation.
Ms. Gray, would you do me a favor? I mean, I know most of us that's in public office know what CID is. For those that are listening, would you tell them, would you just define that for me?
That's a part of her presentation.
Okay.
You knew she'd check that off.
Okay. Okay. So my first slide is anticipating what is a community improvement district. Oops, I'm just going to put that down while I'm talking because there we go. So any community improvement district in Georgia is a geographically designated district where property owners tax themselves. And the property owners are only commercial, industrial, and manufacturing, no residential, no agricultural land. And our intention is never to replace anything that you do as a city, but rather help jumpstart things that happen as a city, supplement city funds, work together. Really, it's designed to be a public-private partnership. And I think it's a testament to all of our years together that has worked really well in the city of Fairburn. And I really think it provides an opportunity, too, to work with the other cities. So, on a weekly basis, I'm also talking with Palmetto, City of South Fulton, I'm Fayette County folks, and really bring together actions for our community that go beyond the community. Right. So, having said that, we are located in these 4 cities, and actually, you all are my last city council I need to really put this down after I touch it, because you're my last city council meeting, so to get this done. It does not matter where the expansion occurs. All 4 of the cities have to approve the expansion. So Palmetto had a lot of questions about, this has nothing to do with us, why are we approving it? Well, because it doesn't matter really where it's located. Having said that, part of the expansion is in the city of Fairburn. Here is our existing location. You can see the CID is mostly in Fairburn at this point. And the expansion is a bit more up US 74 Howell Avenue area and then into Union City. We're also picking up the one big property south of US Foods. So that's kind of exciting financially for us. And that's an area that, you know, we also want to improve on as well. So it's not a huge expansion, but I think it's a pretty meaningful expansion. We've been wanting to expand up Union City for a while, have really the whole Oakley Industrial Boulevard corridor. So I do think it makes a lot of sense for this expansion. It really is just bringing in additional industrial properties. Oh, I already said that all 4 cities must consent to the expansion. So today I need you, to please. I'm sorry, that was terrible driving the presentation. And it's also so great just seeing you all. And I know I need to come back and give you a more thorough presentation on all the things that we've been working on with Leicester and the city. And there's a few more things on the agenda tonight too. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, if you would allow, Mr. Thompson, could you come? I just wanted him to give a brief overview of the projects that he has partnered with the South Fulton CID on, so you have some context.
Well, quite a few. We have definitely partnered with the South Fulton CID on. They've been definitely instrumental in getting a lot of the projects in our T-Spots 1 delivered. Oakley Industrial Full Depth Reclamation Project, they, I think, gave us funding on half the roadway segments on that. The Park and Ride gave us $1.1 million on that project just alone. On the Howell Avenue extension as well, they gave us about $975,000 on that project, and then obtained a GTIB grant of $1.5 million. So that was about half of the actual construction funding for that project. So they've definitely been a significant partner for us on all of our projects in the industrial areas.
We've been around so long, we did the signal at Oakley Industrial Boulevard in State Route 74.
And that's before my time.
You finished with your presentation?
That's it.
Oh, okay. Members of council, you have the item read before your request for mayor and council to approve the resolution consenting to the expansion of boundaries of the South Fulton Community Improvement District. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made by Mayor Pro Tem and second by Mr. Heath. Yes. Any other questions by council?
Yes.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Come on up, Jody.
Question.
Okay, so we're last on this journey. We're the 4th city. Everyone else already signed on?
Yes.
Outstanding, thank you.
As did Fulton County.
Good, thank you.
Any other member of council? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Next item.
Number 4, temporary fire station for the water and sewer installation. This is a recommendation for mayor and council to approve the installation of water infrastructure for the temporary fire station on Bohannon Road in an amount not to exceed $150,000 utilizing our on-call plumbing contractor, KEG Plumbing. Building operations.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
We have been on the temporary fire station journey for some time. I'm glad that we're at this juncture because this is close to the end. Upon your approval tonight, this will pick up where the water meter and the vaults have been installed. We'll supply water to a portion of the site, including the fire hydrant, as well as tie into the building. With this piece of infrastructure in, the temporary fire station will be operational.
Members of council, you have before you the item that's item number 4, that's a temporary fire station, that's read by the deputy city clerk. Is there a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments by council?
Just one quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
We did the fire safety on the, Lord have mercy, I got a blank. Our water, fire hydrants, there it is, hydrants. Did we do our safety checks on those? Remember, we had a resident that came before us in public, and I thought I saw a text that went out saying that we were doing our fire safety checks of hydrants.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That was completed. I can have the fire department provide more details, but the full hydrant inspections were completed. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then when we did those inspections, did we find any need for improvement in any areas?
Yes, so typically, those fire hydrants have to be maintained over time. There are hydrants that may have parts that need to be replaced, kind of the purpose of the whole annual, we do it every year, check. And so from time to time, they do find a fire hydrant that may have an operational issue, but the value of the process is that it identifies those and they do immediate repairs or replacements as needed.
Are we to anticipate this in the near future, or needing these repairs and a budget cost attached to them?
I have not gotten any communication from the fire department that they have any budget requests beyond their existing budget to address this. They have funding already approved in their budget to address these types of issues. I don't know that there were wholesale issues, but with the number of fire hydrants across the city, from time to time, clearly there may be fire hydrants in one location or another that aren't working. They address that out of their current budget.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions by council? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Next item.
Number 5, the Public Safety Complex Design Contract Amendment Number 1. This is a recommendation for mayor and council to approve and authorize contract amendment number 1 for design services on the Public Safety Complex in the amount of $463,799 to the awarded vendor, Goodwin Mills K. Wood LLC, GMC Building Operations.
Go ahead, sir.
Again, if you recall, Mayor and Council earlier this year at the mid-year budget, Mayor and Council so graciously approved a budget amendment, in particular this project, for about $868,000. This item tonight is us using those funds which we anticipated for the amendment to the design services for our awarded contractor on this project. We have been working through program design, and we've got to that stage, and after going through the stage of programming services, we've finalized some of the design services and sub-consultants that we'll need. So this just reflects those costs as we need them to move forward. And again, this is coming against the budget amendment you've already approved, so no additional funds, just utilizing those funds that Mayor and Council already approved for us.
Members of council, you have an item before you that was read by the Deputy City Clerk for Public Safety Complex Design Contract Amendment 1. Is there a motion?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly. Say any questions or comments by council? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Abstain due to lack of information. I never received the budget information. This was approved during the mid-year budget. Thank you.
That motion carries. Next item.
Item number 6, Memorandum of Understanding, MOU with Fulton County School System Emergency Response. This is a recommendation for mayor and council to approve the Memorandum of Understanding between Fulton County Schools, the City of Fairburn, and the Fairburn Police Department to cooperate in certain collaborative activities related to law enforcement on school property as well as safety near the school property. Police Department.
Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This first MOU is essentially updating our current status with the Fulton County Schools between Chief Silborski and Chief Bazidlo and the agencies, essentially continuing that partnership that we have. Essentially, in any event that there's a active shooter situation or anything, it's pretty much Fairburn Police Department agrees and understands that we would respond quickly.
Thank you, sir. Members of council, you have before you a MOU for Fulton County School System Emergency Response. That's read by the Deputy City Clerk. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Motion has been made and probably second by Mayor Pro Tem. Any questions or comments by council?
I have a question. I have some questions. You said that the agreement is between Fulton County Schools for security and responding if there's an active shooting. What other engagement will you have with students?
Unless there's something, an active threat against the community, schools, teachers, or students, we wouldn't have any enforcement duties inside the schools.
Okay, so this agreement is specifically for an active shooter, something that's in a threat to outside, so you won't have any inside collaboration or communication with students?
Not unless, like, career days, where we've been asked to read books or come out with the police cars. Because I know, like Campbell Elementary, they don't have a designated a school resource officer. But there have been instances in the past when I used to work the streets where Langston Hughes, the SRO, was calling for assistance. Fairburn Police, we send them. Creekside, same thing. But Campbell Elementary, which is a Fulton County Schools, doesn't have a designated SRO. So if teachers invite us for a career day, we'll happily attend. We help with like the field days and escorting them to Landmark, anything that we can do to help participate and essentially provide that assistance.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Did you have something you want to add, Ms.? And just in conjunction to Ms. Hudson, great question. One of the things too, you've seen in public safety where kids walked actually from Campbell Elementary, and as a matter of fact, I walked with them, and the fire and police in this case basically escorted to ensure safety of, I guess there had to be over 100 kids walking from the school. Go ahead, ma'am.
Mayor and Council, I just wanted to add, I would say our public safety has a really good relationship with Fulton County Schools. Recently, Captain Pilner, who serves in our fire marshal's office, did, I think, an 8-week program with the entire kindergarten classes at Campbell Elementary School. And we walked from Campbell to Fire Station 21, where they were able to see the truck. They got hats, they got goodie bags, and I can tell you he is a celebrity amongst those students. And so any opportunity we get to engage and give back to the students, we absolutely take it.
Any other members of council got a question? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Next item.
The next item is number 7, Memorandum of Understanding, MOU with Fulton County Schools and School Police for the school zone speed cameras. This is a recommendation for mayor and council to approve the Memorandum of Understanding between Fulton County Schools, the City of Fairburn, and the Fairburn Police Department to cooperate in certain collaborative activities related to law enforcement and speed detection devices located within school zones in Fulton County, and more particularly inside the City of Fairburn, Georgia, the Police Department.
Members of council, you have before you a memorandum of understanding Fulton County Schools and school zone speed cameras. Is there a motion?
Move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments by council? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Next item.
The next item is number 8, Downtown Development Authority DDA amending resolution. This is a recommendation for mayor and council to approve the amended resolution of the Downtown Development Authority DDA with the updated downtown overlay district map adopted on November 14th, 1983. Economic development.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This request, or the recommendation, is that back in November of 14th, 1983, Mayor and Council adopted a resolution. There was a scrivener's error that did not include the boundary map. So it's staff recommendation and request that that map be attached so that we are in compliance with our statutory regulations, or statutory requirements, rather, excuse me.
Members of council, you have before you a DDA amended resolution that was read by the deputy city clerk. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Motion is made and second by the Mayor Pro Tem. Any questions or comments by council?
Yes, I have one question.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
So could you state for the record the boundaries of the district?
Yes, the boundaries of the district encompass West Broad Street. The historic district is at the core, and it incorporates West Broad Street, where the police department is, all the way to Highway 138.
Okay, so it ends at the police department?
It ends at the police department and goes to 138, and it is in a mile on either side.
Okay. Can you describe what's included in the overlay?
So what's included of the overlay district is basically the commercial district for the city of Fairburn. It is to promote retail in the area and business. So what would be enclosed in that area is, of course, businesses. There are restrictions on the type of development that can happen in the overlay district as to promote more business-friendly development and attractiveness in our downtown area. Because we have a historic core, there are also historic elements that we abide by.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I had one question, just so I'm very clear. If I'm going at 29 at Dodd, is there anything to the left
29 Dot. So it is a mile from your main street over. Yes, sir.
I just want to make sure, that's what I thought. Okay, gotcha. Any other questions, members of council? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you.
The next item is number 9, contract for ITB 24-008 Elder Street Evergreen Underground Power Installation. The recommendation is for mayor and council to approve and award ITB 24-008 to Power Pros Powerline Solutions LLC and execute a contract for the installation of electric underground infrastructure for Elder Street Evergreen subdivision in the amount of $120,000. Utilities.
Members of council, you have a 4-year contract for ITB 24-008 Elder Street Evergreen Underwood Power Installation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am. I've got one. Go ahead.
Thank you. I would to ask, underground, electrical underground infrastructure, is that our new standard? And where else have we employed this, given we've got several other subdivisions underway?
Yes, Councilwoman Portis-Jones. It is the standard now for any new developments, commercial or residential, to be installed underground.
The other subdivisions?
Other
that were the- Yes,
subdivisions.
because I don't recall other subdivisions us approving this for other subdivisions.
Yes, Ferndale,
Okay.
Highway 74, and also the Evergreen subdivision at this time are the only two that we have going in.
Okay, what about, isn't there a subdivision near Trotta's Farm over in
Yes.
that area?
So
Are they underground?
I'm not specifically familiar with that, but your original question, if I understood you correctly, Councilwoman Portis-Jones, is that our new standard? And the answer to that is yes.
Yes.
All new subdivisions should have underground electrical lines, and we are not doing any more overhead electrical lines for any new subdivisions. Trotta's Farm, I'm not quite sure if when that was approved. Okay,
That's not City of Fairburn?
that's not City of Fairburn.
Okay, it's across from Trotta's Farm, right? Okay, okay.
But all of our new approvals are for underground electrical lines, not overhead, because of the obvious challenges those bring.
Yes, it is obvious, but can you state for the record, because that's why I'm bringing it up?
Yes, ma'am.
Why this is significant?
It's significant because most of the outages we experience in areas in Fairburn are due to overhead lines being impacted by tree limbs, storms, weather-related activity, squirrels, wildlife. Any of those things can impact overhead lines. And so when you move those underground, you've eliminated most, if not all of those typical causes for outages. And so it's a better service model to ensure that we can consistently provide service. And so to some degree, the overhead lines are in many respects a model of the past. Moving forward, those lines are typically underground to avoid all of those hazards. So that's for new subdivisions moving forward. As we move forward through budget process and other things, we will look for opportunities to look at existing communities to see what the cost would be, to see if we could begin to retrofit some areas. That would be a huge undertaking. It would have to be done in phased process, but ultimately it would produce a better service model, eliminate many of the outage issues that we have seen, particularly in some of our more established legacy communities that were built many years ago when that was the standard for overhead lines. You probably noticed driving through some of our communities, some of those lines are really low. They hang really low. And so we do canopy cutbacks, which you've graciously funded for our departments to try to cut back those tree limbs. But those canopy cutbacks only go so high. And so Mother Nature, weather, all of those things are hazards to providing those services. So the standard now is to move them underground.
Well, I really appreciate that. And as I continue my work at the federal level in trying to identify programs or grant dollars or hear what other cities are doing and how they might be funding projects like this, because it is the new standard. But we do have a lot of legacy communities that we do need to retrofit. And so I want to let you know that I will elevate my discussions regarding this issues to see what opportunities there are for us as a city. So thank you.
And yes, sir, I've got a question for you. And my question is going to be, being that now this is, as the city administrator indicated, it's going to be our new standard. My question was going to be, is there a reason why we went to an invitation to bid instead of request for proposal, being that this is going to be a hot, Ms. Little, I guess Ms. Little would be a person to answer that for me? And the reason why I'm assuming that if we're talking about going to legacy communities, we're talking about volume of work.
This particular one is for a new development.
Okay, gotcha. Go ahead, Ms. Little, go ahead.
We went out for bid for this because we needed a cost.
Okay.
That's all we needed.
Okay.
We inside that invitation to bid, there's always qualifications. You gotta be certified, you gotta be qualified, but we were looking for a cost at this time.
Gotcha. That's what I needed. Okay. Thank you. Any other question by members of council?
Nope.
Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you.
The next item is number 10, approval of supplemental agreement number 2 with CXST for CIE services. The recommendation is for mayor and council to approve the supplemental agreement number 2 with CSX for construction engineering inspection services for $103,009 for public works.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Okay. CSX is requesting additional funding for hours worked by the CSX flagmen for work on the downtown LCI streetscape project that were beyond the authorized budget. Additional CSX administration costs to include flagging, coordination, and administration services, and STV oversight costs. The additional costs also include the removal of soil that was excavated from the CSX embankment at the 30 parking spaces that were added on East Broad Street.
Right. And
the cost of the environmental consultant to sample and be present during soil manifestation, profiling, and the disposal cost.
Members of council, you have before your approval of a supplemental agreement number 2 with CXX for CEI services. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any seconds by Mayor Pro Tem? Any questions or comments by council?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am. Go
How
ahead.
do we plan for these projects ahead so we don't come back asking for more money? Help me visualize what that looks like.
This is an unforeseen cost. This is CSX, so we kind of at their mercy to some degree because they have prior rights, so we're working within their right of way. Our initial, they actually charge us to review the plans, doing preliminary engineering. They also charge us for construction costs. So if you say, for instance, our initial construction cost for the original agreement was $168,300. We had a supplemental agreement number 1, which was for an additional $47,000 for the flagman services. So this is atypical what they typically do for change orders, but it was done nevertheless. They moved forward with this work without prior authorization, so this is CSX, and we really have no recourse but to pay them or not work with them in the future. And we're a railroad city, so we're kind of at their mercy.
Thank you.
Any other questions by council? I'm sorry, Ms. Hudson, will you finish? Sorry, go ahead, I'm sorry.
CSX has had this relationship with our city for many, many, many years now. CSX has not given any investment back to our city, none whatsoever. I understand that we are at that mercy. What do we need to do as a city to have standards and accountability when there is projects such as this? And I understand that we are supposed to have a responsibility of cost. But CSX has been around long enough to know what those costs are and how much flagging and whatever supplements on the front end that they need, costs that they need on the front end. I would like to see a situation where they are providing us with all of this information up front. They are a very experienced company, and this is what they do. They do this type of business. So as a city, where do we stand in creating standards and how we engage with them, that we're not just as vulnerable as CSX? We just do what they say because it's CSX.
They create the standards, to be honest with you, and we just abide by them.
Okay.
So in this particular instance, Councilwoman Hudson, this revolved around the final parking spaces that we added as part of the original streetscape plan that the city had approved. Those parking spaces went into the right-of-way of CSX. In essence, once you are in CSX's right-of-way, they have the legal authority. It is tantamount to a monopoly. Once you're in their right-of-way, you must abide by their rules. Railroads have been around, as we all know, the Cowboys and the Indians, and they pretty much have a unique business model. It took us, Lester, help me out if I get this wrong, 2 years essentially to get them to approve those 30 parking spaces. I mean, we jumped through hoop after hoop.
They changed engineers.
They changed
midstream,
engineers.
from Arcadis to STV. We had to change our design for the shoring that was required to build the wall for those 30 parking spaces. So the project, in essence, was on hold for
And
a
what
little bit over a year.
CSX knows is that for cities like ours, where there is a railroad running through the middle of downtown, that you can't afford not to work with them, because they were here when the city was founded, and they'll be here for many, many years to come. And because they have such a wide breadth of right-of-way, you know, anything you do that comes anywhere close to a CSX right-of-way, you have to work with them. I have the same sentiments, Councilwoman Hudson. I don't like being told what we have to do, but I also want to maintain a reasonable working relationship, because we'll have to work with them in the future. We've had conversations about blocking of the railroad crossings and trying to make sure that we can address that. And so we do the best we can to assert Fairburn's interest at every turn that we can.
And I guess if this makes anyone feel any better, the original request was $412,250. I
Oh,
got
Lester.
come down to $103,000. So that's, I mean, I know that's modest. I know that's modest in comparison, but that's, that's a big deal
That's
for
awesome.
for CSX. And if you ride by the underpass, you notice that it says 1917, so they were here before. Many of the roads were here in the city of Fairburn, so they have prior rights. And
So 300%.
Great job, great job.
Any other members of the council got a question? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, that motion carries.
The next item is number 11, approval of an IGA with the City of South Fulton for the Gullet Road Full Depth Reclamation Project. This is a recommendation for mayor and council to approve the intergovernmental agreement with the City of South Fulton for the Gullet Road Full Depth Reclamation Project. Mr. Lester?
Yes, sir.
All right, Galat Road is partially inside the city of South Fulton and partially inside the city of Fairburn. We actually put out a joint project, a project that was in three roadway segments. So it was the Galat Road, McLaren Road, Galat Road, Kleckler Road, and McLaren Road Full Depth Reclamation Project. And that bid was put out on April 3rd, 2024. The bid opening was May 8th, 2024. At which time 6 bids were received. The lowest bid for the Galat Road Full Depth Reclamation Project, which is the same low bidder for all 3 roadway segments, came in at $674,000. So we're pretty much we asked the city of South Fulton to go in half with it, because that roadway is split down the center line. On the left side is pretty much the city of Fairburn. If you got your back to 29, the left side is city of Fairburn, the right side is city of South Fulton. And they agreed to, in fact, they've already approved it at their last city council meeting on May 28th. So this is our way of getting reimbursed. $337,000 $1,306 in construction cost. This is a revenue.
And Ms. Thompson, could you explain briefly what a full depth reclamation is? Because Galat Road is in really bad shape.
So full depth reclamation, we do that on most of our industrial roadways. What that does is you go down about, say 2 feet, for instance. You take the existing roadway, you reclaim it, you sclerify it, add about 90 pounds a square yard of cement to it at 14 inches thick. Then you come back with another 4.5 inches of asphalt on top of that. So thereby rebuilding the roadway, doing base repair as well. So, and that gives it a 20-year lifespan when you do that type of application.
Members of council, you have before you approval of IGA with South Fulton for Galat Road for a depth reclamation project. Is there a motion?
So moved.
There's a second.
Second.
Motion is made and properly second. Any questions or comments by council?
Nope.
Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Next item.
Next item is number 12, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the South Fulton CID for the Kleckler Road Full Depth Reclamation Project. This is a recommendation for mayor and council to approve the intergovernmental agreement with the South Fulton CID for the Kleckler Road Full Depth Reclamation Project.
Members of council, you have before you item number 12 for intergovernmental agreement again with the CID for Kleckler Road full depth reclamation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
There's a second.
Second.
A second by Ms. Davis. Any questions or comments by council?
Nope.
Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Next item.
The next item is number 13, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the South Fulton CID for the McLaren Road Full Depth Reclamation Project. This is a recommendation for mayor and council to approve the IGA with the South Fulton CID for the McLaren Road Full Depth Reclamation Project.
Members of council, you have before you another intergovernmental agreement with South Fulton CID for McLaren Road Full Depth Reclamation Project. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made and properly second. Any questions by council? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
Next item, number 14, approval of a contract award to Blunt Construction for the Gullet Road, Kleckler Road, and McLaren Road Full Depth Reclamation Project. The recommendation is for mayor and council to approve the contract award for the Gullet Road, Kleckler Road, McLaren Road Full Depth Reclamation Project to Blunt Construction Company for a bid price of $2,658,412.08.
All right. Members of council, you have before you approval of a contract with Blount Construction for Gillette Road, Kleckler Road, and McLaren Full Depth Reclamation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Can I ask you a question about this vendor?
Yes, sir.
This Blount,
Blunt.
excuse me, I keep saying Blount. Did they do a project in our city? I don't know why I want to say the street that's on the side of, let's say West. Am I right or wrong? But I saw them.
They did John Rivers Road before I came to the city of Fairburn. When I was an employee with Moreland Altabelli, which is now Atlas, back in 2013.
Okay, gotcha.
Full depth reclamation, same application. They also did a full depth reclamation of Ohannon Road in 2016.
Okay.
And I was an employee here.
Okay, gotcha. I thought
They do great work. They just haven't been winning the last few. C.W. Matthews been winning the last few full depth reclamation projects, but this time they sharpened their pencil and came in the budget and got it.
Any other members of council got a question? No. Seeing none.
I did want to say one thing too.
Yes, sir.
Through the delivery of this project, they will allow us to deliver 2 Tier 1 roadway projects. T-Splosh 2 Tier 1 roadway projects. That's the McLaren Road Full Depth Reclamation and the Galat Road Full Depth Reclamation Project are both T-Splosh 2 Tier 1 roadway projects.
Okay.
And we're getting it done for half the price because we got half the funding outside sources. So just want to make that on the record.
Yep.
All right. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? That motion carries.
Number 15, the Finance Director Monthly Report is going to presented by Ms. Keisha Baker.
Good evening, Mayor Avery and council members.
Good evening.
In Mr. Stevens' absence, I will be presenting the financial report for the period ending April 30th, 2024. General Fund concludes its 7th month of fiscal year 2024 operations with $7.6 million in net cash flow. To date, the general fund has generated $19.6 million in revenue and $12 million in general fund expenditures. As of April 30th, the city has collected 65% of its year-to-date revenue. To date, the city has expensed 39% of its budget. Property and local option sales tax revenue represent the general fund's primary source of operating resources. Real property represents 82% of the general fund's revenue, while loss represents 59%. Of the $30,104,624 of budgeted general fund revenue, the city has collected $19,688,652 year-to-date. Revenue collected during the month of April totaled approximately $976,839, which increased the general fund's year-to-date total revenue collected to $19,688,652. To date, the general fund has collected 65% of its $30,104,624 of updated budgeted revenue. General fund expenditures year-to-date total approximately $12,024,773, which is 39% of the budgeted $32,172,984 in expenses. Property tax revenue collected year-to-date total approximately $12,257,991, which is at 97.54% collected of the $12,567,979 billed out. The City of Fairburn's Enterprise Fund concludes its 7th month of fiscal year 2024 operations with roughly $2 million in net cash flow. To date, the Enterprise Fund has generated $12 million in revenue and $10 million in expenditures. As of April 30th, 2024, the city has collected 45% of its year-to-date budgeted revenue and expensed 37% of its enterprise funds budgeted. As you can see, the main source of revenue for the enterprise fund comes from charges for services, which year-to-date total $12,136,197. Total revenue collected from enterprise funds year-to-date represent 45% of the revenue budgeted. Of the $27,233,498 of the year-to-date enterprise fund revenue collected, $1,683,977 was collected during the April 2024 period. Total expenditures from the enterprise fund year-to-date represent 37% of the total expenditures budgeted year-to-date. I went a little bit too slow with my little slide. The total, that concludes the financial report for the period ending April 30th, 2024. Any questions?
Members of council, does anybody council have a question for this young lady? Seeing none, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Item number 16 is the city administrator's monthly report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
The city administrator's report for the month of April was provided as part of your reading package, that 39-page report. Hopefully you will have an opportunity, if not had to date, to review that. I wanted to share a few highlights from the month of April, a very successful month for the city. Fire Station 23 construction is ongoing. I'm not sure if any of you have had a chance to drive by the location recently, but you're starting to see the building coming out of the ground, and it's a very exciting prospect. We are still on track to have that building hopefully completed toward the end of the year. weather permitting, but it is an ongoing process. As you approved this evening, the public safety complex design is an ongoing project as well. And we are proud to document that the staff relocation to the city administration building is complete. And so all staff that are moved into that building have been successfully transitioned into that facility, and we've also moved staff from other locations into the building where we are sitting this evening. Also, excuse me, we kicked off our Fairburn Third Friday on Main Street series with a partnership with Taste of Soul Food this year. We did that the third Friday in April. It featured Dottie Peoples, pardon me, Howard Hewitt, Anthony David, and Kimberly Lattimore. Those events are growing in popularity. Excuse me. Those events are growing in popularity, and citizens seem to really be enjoying them. Also, Sylvia Abernathy participated in the Fulton Korea International Trade Mission. I'm sorry, I've hit my throat. Excuse me. He participated in the Fulton Korea International Trade Mission. Pardon me.
Take your time. Yes.
I should slow down.
Would you like a mint?
I actually had one. Maybe the mint's causing this.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm okay. Ms. Abernathy participated in the Fulton Korea International Trade Mission. It was an exciting prospect, a week-long economic development tour focusing on igniting international investment in Fulton County and specifically in South Fulton and more specifically in the city of Fairburn. It was organized by Chairman Rob Pitts of the Fulton County Delegation, Fulton County Board of Commissioners. She met with over 12 companies ranging from biotech to robotics to AI to autonomous technologies and film production companies. There is a corresponding delegation from South Korea that will be coming to Fulton County in the very near future. Plans for that are being finalized, and we hope the plan is for that delegation to visit the city of Fairburn. While they are here, economic trade missions are about finding opportunities for investment, and these companies in South Korea are taking a hard look at Fulton County and specifically South Fulton and Fairburn for future investment opportunities. We had a ribbon cutting for a brand new business, which has been there for about a year, but we had a chance to do a formal grand opening for them. They are doing well there. It is their highest revenue producing location of the 9, I believe, that they own. We completed the installation of the historic town clock, which is now located at the Fairburn City Center. And of course, in April, the Georgia Renaissance Festival kicked off, and we began our Ren Fest Thursday series for the second year in a row. Earlier, you heard Ms. Chris reference Fire Marshal Pilner and his the program he worked with Campbell Elementary was called Learn Not to Burn with Captain Pilner for pre-K kindergartner. It was an 8-week class at Campbell Elementary, and I wish you could have seen when we walked with them with the police and fire from Campbell Elementary to Fire Station 21, and Captain Pilner was there when they arrived, and you would have thought a celebrity had walked in. Those kids just surrounded him. He's got a really talent for connecting with those kids. They were just listening to every word that came out of his mouth and excited about the fire stations. It was a great day. We also sponsored with the fire department Career Day at Campbell Elementary as well. In April, our Human Resources Department held an observance of Women's History Month. We do this each year in April, and the Employee Engagement Team in Human Resources held their second annual Women of Impact event to honor women within the city who made outstanding contributions within the city. The honorees this year were Destiny Andrews from Fire, Jada Berry from Parks and Recreation, Denise Brookings from Planning and Zoning, Anna McClellan from the Police Department, and Shanisa Turner from our General Services Department. Parks and Recreation, which is always busy, had a engaging April as well. They kicked off their spring break camp with 22 campers. Youth Track and Field was continuing in April. They also held their Youth Council Leadership Graduation on April 17th. We're excited about that ongoing project. And of course, there's always sensational senior programming. In April, we did candle making, and we had 27 seniors to participate in that activity in April. And they are finishing up The final version and presentation of the Parks Master Plan was moved forward in April and will be soon concluding. And Duncan Park Pool and Splash Pad Pool Pump Replacement Project was completed so that it was ready for its opening at the end of May. For planning and zoning, they did the Canopy of Colors art installation in conjunction with the Art Advisory Committee. It was up during the month of May. I believe it is still, I'm sorry, it's over. It ended at the end of May, but it was extremely popular. There's a number of videos of activities that were planned there. We had a Black Girls Run, a 5K that ended there. We had a paint event where we had full participation there. We had 2 paint events in recent weekends. Seniors did exercising and Zumba under the Canopy of Colors as well. It's a beautiful display. I hope you had a chance to see it. This is the second year that we've done that. It's really received well by our residents. They really love the activities. I want to commend both Planning and Zoning, Ms. Brookins, and the Art Advisory Committee for creating not only art, but art that engages our citizens, where they can participate with it, do activities under it, and so hopefully that's something we can continue. And with that, I will conclude my highlights and answer any questions that you may have.
Quick question.
Go ahead, Ms. Davis.
You may have this in your report, Mr. Phillips, but what departments have moved in this building?
Utilities is the only department that has moved into this building.
Utilities.
That was primarily for operational need. As you know, those citizens that pay their utility bills in person come to this building. And so operationally, it was a good fit to have the utility staff be here, because previously they were located on the other side of the city. Now they're all here into this building, where most of our citizens who come not only for utility payments, but utility assistance can now come to kind of a one-stop location and have access to both customer service and utility payments.
Question?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
So could you talk about the utility assistance program? I know we had a second or third round of funding that we offered to the residents. Can you just talk about, that participation, how much money was used? Is there any left? And if so, what are the plans?
There's no money left.
Oh,
So it's not
okay.
there. That was actually in the month of May, and that'll be in the next report that you
Okay,
receive.
okay.
But I'm glad you mentioned that. We did an additional $150,000 of utility assistance payment. That makes a total of $400,000 that we've done in the last 7 months. And so this last round of $150,000, we had 364 residents who received funding. The first day, the 2 days that the funding lasted, the lines were significant outside of the building. We passed out bottled water. We tried to process as quickly as we could. It seemed to go well. A lot of our residents received assistance. And so all in all, it was a success. We went through the process as quickly as we could, as efficiently as we could. Staff did an outstanding job of trying to accommodate all of our residents. And fortunately, over 364 residents received utility assistance in the latest round of those funds.
What number was that again?
364 residents. It's in the current round, in addition to the residents we funded in the initial round back last fall.
And then could you also talk about because of the rate increase, the 10% that we were giving back and the time frame? Just talk a little bit about where that is.
That 10% has been applied to the previous month's bill, and so we went through a significant programming.
That's previous month, meaning April?
I don't have the bill date in front of me. I think it
Okay.
was the most recent bill received. I can get the exact dates for you. But those 10% discounts have been applied to all residential customers. They received those. We are now working on a proration discount for the days in December that were billed at the new rate when they should have been billed at the previous rate. That was even a more significant programming effort. We are nearing the finalization of that. We had a meeting about it earlier today. We'll be working with Tyler Technologies to finalize the implementation of that. We'll run several tests to make sure that the numbers come out correctly. If all of that goes as anticipated, then that would be applied to the next upcoming bill, which would, the meter reads begin on the 15th, I believe. And so that would be on the next billing cycle. So again, if the tests are successful and the numbers come out as we have run our calculations, then we would apply that. In advance of that, we would send a communication out to all of our customers to let them know that they can anticipate that on the upcoming bill and provide information as to what that discount will look like, or that proration is the better reference, will look like on their bill.
In your next report, if not sooner, could you provide us with the total cost of the 10%?
Sure.
That we've given? And then I would also ask the same for the proration once that is completed as
Yes,
well.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Just have a quick comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to just echo, I am a voting member who actually pays Fairburn Utilities, electric and water. And I was in that line. And I stayed here through the whole process with the residents for 4 hours, but it was still a good 4 hours. And I got my water as well. And it was really an amazing process. And just to talk to the residents, to hear the sense of relief because of the assistance that they were getting, understanding that the city still has to function and have revenue to provide other services, but putting myself in the seat with the citizens and experiencing the utility department, that process was an awesome process. So hats off to the utility for that. I really enjoyed being here for that.
Any comments, council? Okay, I'll go, Ms. Hudson, since you got the floor. Go ahead and start off.
Community Conversations with Councilwoman Hudson series begins this Saturday at the library from 10:30 to 12:30. From your response of wanting more community engagement, this is where we begin. Thank you to Global Impact students for providing your follow-up cards, and thank you to this council and for the community improvements that we have going on. I am ecstatic about that. But my next comment is going to be directed to you, Mayor. I'm directing this comment to you because I am very concerned. I'm very concerned that you have not been able to come to a place where you understand why I'm here. My family received some very disturbing information, and that information is that you've had conversations with law enforcement, all 3 shifts, and stated, you didn't call my name, but you did say to them that you have to be careful what you say, who you talk to, because there is a newly elected council member who has come to destroy the city. I won't even defend that. But what I'm going to say is this: no weapon formed against me shall prosper.
Okay.
I will not defend defamatory remarks made by anyone in this administration. But now there is a level of concern that my entire family has because of this. I want to continue to ask that our citizens be diligent in receiving information, and I'm going to renew my request today for the copy of the traveler's policy, the cancellation and renewal. Thank you to every staff that the work that you do does not go unnoticed. And I appreciate you, Ms. Chris. I want to thank you for being diligent and communicating with me on meetings. I know that I've been extremely busy, but that is going to lighten up and I'll be able to meet soon.
Okay, thank you. Next, Mr. Heath, go ahead.
No comment.
All right, Ms. Davis,
I don't have any comments. It's been a long night. Thank you.
go ahead, Ms.
Mr. Phillip, I would just ask you if you could just restate the names of the women's staff who received the Impact Awards. And I want to express my congratulations to all of them who received the awards. But they are the ones who have been recognized today. but our entire staff is to be commended for the work that they have done. And I really want to appreciate that. So can you just restate their names for me,
Absolutely.
please? Mhm.
Thank you for that, Councilwoman. Destiny Andrews from the Fire Department, Jada Berry from the Parks and Recreation Department, Denise Brookings from Planning and Zoning, Anna McClellan from the Police Department, and Shanisha Turner from our General Services Department.
All right, so I'm not going to remember every name that he said, but I want, please, in my comments, if you could include their names in my comment, that I am congratulating them on receiving that award. Thank you.
Mr. Whitman?
No comments, Mayor.
No comments?
No, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to just say again, thank you so much, our staff, for the utilities assistance that took place. You heard Ms. Hudson speak about it herself, and that participated, and want to just thank our staff for outstanding customer service that was rendered. I was actually got a lot of feedback as relates to how, about the execution, which was I was more concerned about. I want to thank our city administrator and city, both deputy and the city administrator, because they played a major role in ensuring that the level of excellence that he and I talked about as it relates to this taking place. I also want to just thank, ladies and gentlemen, we were blessed for those that didn't get a chance to come. 91-year-old Bobby Rush that actually put on a great show for the city of Fairburn, third Friday. We were blessed with the number of people, majority seniors, 91-year-old that put on a show. And so I just want to say again, I've heard numerous of elected officials, I've been to several events in the last 7 days where many council members in the neighboring cities and few mayors indicated that they had heard that he put on a great show. And so that was just, and then as I close, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say again, election season is a part of, we've got an election runoff that's coming up, I believe, next few, I want to get that day right, June 18th. And just want to make sure that you realize, right, it's important that we go out and vote in this case and to elect people that actually care about all the cities, but in this case, specifically about the city of Fairburn. So I just want to remind people, please go out to the runoffs and vote for these people that are running for this area. With that,
Voting is on, opening right now.
go ahead. Say that again.
Okay. Early voting actually in Fulton County began this past weekend, and it is going on every day, I believe, until
Friday.
that Friday before this Friday?
This Friday, this
Okay.
coming Friday.
This coming
14th.
Friday, yes. So please, I voted on Sunday, and sad to say, only 32 people have voted.
Oh, wow.
So please, let's turn out and vote.
Yes.
And then, and my final comment, I want to just mention too, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people know it, but I just think I have to say it publicly. The events that you see the city putting on the third Fridays is a combination of the entire department heads, along with a lot of our great city staff. I want to just, one comment was made to me, and I'll end with this. They were completely blown away with the grounds department, in this case, Ms. Higgins, in her department, the people walking around picking up paper as they were dropping it, basically keeping the facilities completely clean. I just want to say thank you. So we take that for granted. I don't, but and most of the people sitting up here don't. And so I just want to thank our publicly for our city staff from top to bottom that puts a lot of efforts in ensuring that our residents feel, number one, safe, but most of all, that the area is clean. So with that being said, Mr. City Attorney, we've got an executive session of litigation.
Yes, won't be long. I do not think it'll be long. In real estate?
Yeah, litigation and real estate. Members of council, can I entertain a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
For both for real estate and litigation. Is there a second?
We got an attorney. We got to get him out of here. He's been here all day.
Who's the second from?
The Mayor Pro Tem. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. time.
You're moving to negotiate and to condemn if necessary, 130 Washington Street. And the offer price is 185,500, and the counter is 200,000.
Members of council, you heard the item read for your consideration. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is-
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Next item.
And the second motion is to purchase 129 West Broad Street. The offer price is 165,000, and there's been no counter response. In the event the negotiations break down, you'll be moving to condemn the property.
Members of council, you heard the item read, item number 2 read by the city attorney. Is there a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and properly second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Can I dismiss, right?
Yes, yes.
Members of council, can I entertain a motion to dismiss?
So move.
Second.
Second.
Motion is made by Ms. Hudson, second by Mr. Heath. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
One
Hold on one second.
But there are minutes that reference in this document that
Missed it.
Councilwoman Hudson gave us. Can we have copies of those minutes?
Minutes
Of the P and Z meeting?
absolutely. So,
It should be online.
They are.
Yeah,
They
they're
are now.
online. They're online.
Could you provide us a copy, please? Thank you.
Absolutely.
Mayor, I need to get a